Hello folks, welcome to Corydon, Indiana. We continue our trip through the Midwest, this time going eastward through southern Indiana. And believe me, this is a must-see. Two things I must say right off the bat. Round here in southern Indiana, and more specifically southeastern Indiana, there's a difference of the land. Hardly any more will I see rows and rows and rows of cornfields on a flat landscape. No, we begin to see a lot more hills. We are right next to the Ohio River, a few miles away from it, but nevertheless close enough to consider this place part of the Ohio River Valley. Because of that, there's a lot more hills and lush vegetation than there would be in other parts of Indiana. Secondly, you all have no idea how excited I am to be in Corydon, Indiana. Believe me when I say, this has been a childhood dream of mine to come here. Oh, well, by the way, that's the Corydon clock. But anyway, I have been wanting to come to Corydon, Indiana for, I'd say, around 10 years. That long. And for me, this is personally a dream come true, that we get to see what's here in Corydon, Indiana for the coverage project. Some of you are curious about why such a small town like Corydon, Indiana is at the top of my travel list. Well, here is why. You all ready for it? Alright, here we go. Welcome to butt drugs. So, pardon my immaturity, but this is the exact reason we're here in Corydon. Get it? Butt drugs? I know it's a funny name, but this is a legit pharmacy and much more. Let's just revel in one more shot of this place before we go in. Butt drugs. And we're here. I'll take this, and I hear there's something called a peanut butter prescription.
Yeah.
I'll take one of those.
Okay, it has malt powder in it, is that good?
Totally fine. My goodness, this is the best shake I've had in years. I am serious. We just went to Bloomington, Illinois a few days ago, and we got a shake from Steak and Shake, but nothing beats a locally made shake from a nice local business. Let me explain to you what butt drugs is really all about. It's more than just a pharmacy. On one side, you can get your prescription drugs if you need, but on the other side is this nice old-timey soda fountain where you can get ice cream, milkshakes, malts. Now, what I got was called a peanut butter prescription. Cool name. I didn't see it on the menu out in the open. Maybe it's a secret item, maybe it was on a different menu, I'm not too sure. How I did find out about this was I looked online for reviews of what the quintessential thing to get from butt drugs was. Peanut butter prescription fit the bill. So, I would definitely suggest if you are in southern Indiana, stop by Corydon. Get yourself a peanut butter prescription at Butt Drugs. If you haven't noticed already, I've made a bit of a change of wardrobe underneath this flannel shirt. Used to be a camouflage t-shirt. No longer is it today. Today, I am repping Butt Drugs merch. I mean, this shirt is just too hilarious to pass up. Plus, I've been waiting 10 years for this experience. I don't care. Usually I don't buy souvenirs like clothing or anything, but for this special occasion, I think we here at the Coverage Project can have a little celebration of this very special place known as Butt Drugs. It's some place that you can really only find in these small towns, locked away in the interior of the country. And it's just simply terrific how we get to explore one of these old, bygone relics of American history. one of these old-timey soda fountain bars. I, on the coverage project, am 100% team butt drugs. The capital of modern-day Indiana is Indianapolis, right in the center of the state. But the capital of Indiana used to be Corydon. Back when Indiana first became a state, most of the population actually lived in this southern part of Indiana, close to the Ohio River. We're actually not too far from the state of Kentucky, but I digress. That's a different story for a different trip. Where we are here in Corydon was a large enough city so that when the state was founded, this was the first state capital. And this was the first state capitol building of Indiana. Now, we've been to quite a few capitol buildings and complexes in many states, and the trend is to make it large and grand, almost like a palace or a royal mansion. But this is what state capitol buildings used to look like, especially in the western frontier of the United States at the time. So compared to all those big complexes that we have seen on our travels to state capitals, you could see that this is a much more humble design. Just a brick building or a stone, I think that's limestone? Yeah, like a limestone brick building. Just 2 stories and a little thing on top. And that's your humble capitol building. Personally, that would be a nice change from all these unnecessary designs in other states. Why, you may ask, is the state capital of Indiana not Corydon, but Indianapolis? Well, later on, as people flocked westward and more people came to the Midwestern frontier, they decided that instead of having their capital at the very southern point of Indiana, it would make more sense to have a more centralized location for their capital city. Thus, Indianapolis was selected instead, and the capital moved up there. Now, this is interesting. You can see behind us the colonial architecture that was brought from the East Coast. But at the same time, as we saw in the downtown area of Corydon, you also saw that Midwestern pioneer architecture. And to me, that is what's so interesting about the Midwest region as a whole. It's like this transition period between the old colonial East Coast and the frontier, pioneer, whatever you want to call it, western part of the United States. So anytime someone says, the Midwest, what are you going to do there? I say, lots of things. It's got plenty of history, plenty of culture, and it played a pivotal role in the development of the United States and the economic maintenance, if you want to call it, of the United States as we see it today. Although this is not too significant to the town of Corydon, I thought it would be a significant thing to talk about. There is this creek, and it's very small, but this creek eventually leads into the larger Ohio River, which itself is a tributary of the mighty Mississippi River. Geographically speaking, I love how everything is so connected here in the Midwest. You have this little body of water having its source of water flow down into a tributary, then a larger tributary, and then join this big, vast source of water flowing down the heart of the country. Oh my goodness, it's a living history museum. $10,000.
in 3 days, July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Now you must know this, the War Department said Robert E. Lee's coming up north to kidnap me. Shall not perish from the earth. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The Battle of Corydon was debatably the only Civil War battle fought in the state of Indiana. Additionally, it was a very pivotal battle around the same time as Gettysburg that ultimately helped the Union win over the Confederacy. And I guess we stopped here on the perfect day, the perfect time, because there's this living history type of deal. There were people reenacting soldiers, and there was even Lincoln. It was all a cool experience. The people running this whole thing were kind enough to even give me the newspaper of the day after the battle. Of course, this is not the real newspaper, but a replica with the same text and everything. I'm telling you all, this was not planned. I just drove up to the park to do some sort of conclusion monologue, you know, more travels to come, I will see you in the next location, that type of deal. But I was surprised to find this whole exciting, what would you call it? Living history museum, history fair, reenaction. What a day though for the coverage project. We got to do some funny stuff like visit butt drugs. Then we got to see some history. So I would consider this day complete. Hope you all had a great time exploring Corydon, one of my premier bucket list cities in America. Not city, town. One of my premier bucket list towns. Not just for the coverage project, but for my personal life. I've always, for a good part of my life, wanted to come here and see what butt drugs was all about, plus anything else that was in the town. I had a blast. I hope you had a blast too watching this. So with that being said, I have two things to say. One, I love butt drugs. Two, as the usual saying goes, more travels to come. I will see you at the next location.